Let us speak again about to-do apps today. So it's a normal to-do app with everything you see here. So I can mark items as started, as done. I can create new items or I can edit items. But we also showed you that we have a chat facility. So I can say, add a new to-do item to write another video script by Friday, and it will actually include this to-do item here into the pending list now. And in today's video, we are actually going to see how to do this AI layer. So we had already a previous video where we showed how all the architecture works under the hood. So maybe after watching this video, you have a longing to also understand better how it works under the hood. Then just go to the link in the description and watch the other video as well. In today's video, I'm going to show you now how to add this agentic AI layer on top and how to make such chat prompts and how to do this. Welcome back to the MeshWeaver channel. We help you understand and manage your data. My name is Roland, and today we are going to look at how to program an AI bot. So let's go into the middle of things and we just have a look at this AI project. So in the last video, we looked at this to-do project, which contains the core business logic. Today, we are going to look at this ToDo.ai project, which contains the AI layer. And so here I have my ToDo agent. Actually, what we do is very closely related to the semantic kernel from Microsoft. I wrote it in the blog entry for you. So if you look at the current blog entry where you see here, this is about attaching the AI brain now to the business application here. So here I'm linking you to the semantic kernel of Microsoft. So you can go to their website and look at what it is. But it's just in a nutshell, what they do is you use natural language input, and then it goes to the semantic AI engine. And then from there, you have a concept of tools or functions. So it depends a bit on the AI provider. They call them differently. And actually, the semantic kernel, it calls them kernel functions. But it's kind of a way to call back to your code. And we will look at how this works in a second. But you see, so the semantic kernel, or actually the LLM provider, it will understand, oh, now I should call a tool, and then it gives you a callback to come back to your own code. And then we normally go to our MeshWeaver message network and we delegate around messages, and then updates can happen. So for instance, if I have a user interface that displays the content currently, then I will see this content refresh. Let me now just go into the code, and when we go into the code, here I have modeled the agents a bit more explicitly than it's done in semantic kernel. So you see here I choose agent with plugins. This is from the MeshWeaver framework. But it allows me to say I'm an agent and I ship plugins, and plugins are the things that allow me to do method calls. Then, as normal, I have so first of all, I have a description. Who am I in principle? So this is then relevant when we go into multi-agent mode. Today we are looking just at the one agent. So today we are not really going to use this. But if of course we have multiple agents, we need to know who is doing what. So this gives kind of the first delegation layer where I say, hey, I can deal with all the to-do items. And you see, even here, I try to be quite descriptive so that I give enough of a clue to the LLM that it will know when to invoke me. So typically then when it hears the word to do, it will invoke me. Then we have the instructions. This is also sometimes called the system prompt. So this is essentially what you never see as the end user in the application, because this is what goes on in the background. But this is where I can instruct my agent what it should do. And then when we see here at these instructions, the biggest instruction actually delegates to this data plugin, and the data plugin, it's one that we ship with MeshWeaver, so you don't need to recreate it. You can always control click it. You will always see the source because it's an open source project. The good thing is when it's an open source project that it will always ship you the code and you can look at it. Here we can see that the data plugin, it has a number of methods. So for instance, I could ask what are all the data types which are mapped to a given address. I could ask it which data do I have given the data type, and you will then also see that we can also add which data types exist. And if I give an ID, so then I need to typically have an ID from somewhere. If I give an ID here, then I can just load a single instance. If the ID is null, it will typically load me all the instances for a particular type. So in our case, type will be something like to-do item or to-do category. And typically we have so few data that we don't care about any further filtering or whatever, so we will typically just load all of them. And then if you look at the implementation here, there is always this get address. So actually our apps, they have a context, because when I'm in the UI, you see I'm always somewhere in the UI. And for instance here, it already sees from this address here, so the address actually is this part here, it's app to do. So it already understands that I'm looking at to-dos, and then I could also just refer to this page or something like this. And it will always understand where we are. But it has a number of ways to get the address from the context or from the type, or I can pre-teach it. But this would go too much into detail. But so it's just in a nutshell, you can get data content out, I can update data with this function, and I can get the schema. Going back to our agent here, so normally it also picks up when I give it the tools, it will pick up these descriptions anyway. But I noticed that especially if I use small language models like GPT-4o mini or GPT-4.1 mini, it's not so good at automatically detecting this. So I got into the habit of just writing this into the agent definition itself. I usually give it a small outline of all the tools it has available and what it can do with all these tools. Then you saw me in the intro demo to say this Friday. Actually, LLMs, they don't have a notion of time, so they don't know which date is today. So we have to teach it. So, but you see, you can do it as simply as saying today's date is, and then I give it normally the date time in UTC, because this thing runs on a server, and so typically server times are kept in UTC. But then I can start using this Friday, because then it will understand that actually I'm speaking to it on this Tuesday or this Wednesday or whatever, and then it can extrapolate the dates. And then the most challenging bit is to create new. So I could have done it also with a data plugin. I could have taught it to load the schema and the like, but I also wanted to show you a bit a non-trivial example. I don't think this is necessarily a good way of doing it, so probably I should have done it slightly differently, but it's just to symbolize you, it's not rocket science. So essentially here you see I can ask something from it in the callback. So first of all, I denote it as a kernel function. This is from Semantic Kernel, so if I hover over it, you see it's Microsoft Semantic Kernel. This comes from there. And then I can give it a description. So this is in the system component model work namespace. And here I can just tell it what this method can do. So in our case, it creates a new to-do item, blah, blah, blah. And then I can also give these arguments, I can give these a description. And so for title and description and due date, I didn't do it because it's self-explanatory and it's already written in this main description. But for instance, for category, I clearly told it that it must match existing categories and that it can get these categories from the data plugin. because in the data plugin, of course, I can now, so we can even do this here online in the demo. So let me just say, give me a list of to-do category. And now you see it, so now it will actually follow this very instruction set here. So it will understand, if I want to list categories, I need to call the get data. So this comes from this data plugin, from the standard plugin, and I should put to-do category in. And then actually it has loaded these 8 categories, which so happen to be the ones that we have defined here in the sample data. So you see here I put, so if we look just at work, professional tasks, meetings, projects, and then here work, professional tasks, meetings, projects. So it really loads also these descriptions. And this is obviously one of the keys now to using LLMs as steering layer, because you know that now the big combination exercise, when I wanted to know where to mark my stuff. And so, for instance, I don't necessarily now create here a tag for videos. So where should it map videos? And this is something, if I see now that it has troubles mapping, we can ask it. So where should I map creating videos? And then we can see how it reacts now. And now it says it's actually ambiguous. It could be under learning, work, career. And so since I'm a professional YouTuber, I should probably tell it that for me creating videos is work, you know. And this is exactly what I can do in this description. And this is then how I can steer it to give me the correct mapping. So once you go into the business and you want to also let it, you know, interact naturally with the user, it's very important to also go and iterate these until you find something that really works out for you. So going back to the agent definition, then when we map a to-do item here, then essentially I just created here the JSON schema manually. So again, this is not necessarily how we would normally do it, because I can also say, give me the schema for to-do item. And you have seen that we have actually the schema exposed in the data plugin. So now I get this exact thing back. And again, if we look, for instance, at these texts here, these texts are again coming from the text that I put here on the to-do item. So this is again how you iterate with this and how you can enhance the descriptions, etc. So I can also say, give me the schema in raw form. Then you see how we actually ship it. And this is called a JSON schema. It's a way to represent JSON data. So it's a bit technical if you read all of this, and I must improve the coloring of this view. But you know, so essentially it really ships now all the text from the XML schema, and it gives guidance to the system, to the LLM, how to do it. And then I can give it instructions such as map the stuff into the schema. So here I did it manually, but it's more for educational purposes. That because I want to now show you, otherwise I would just have a system prompt, but I want to actually show you that we stop here, and you will see this when I say create a to-do item to create video scripts by Friday. Now actually, because I even told it, sometimes this works without me telling it, but now, since I actually called it out, it says now that it categorized it under work, and actually it was now doing it without stopping at this breakpoint. So it can be that I haven't done it, or that it just knew itself that it should create it with this. So it must have it must have exactly skipped this, and it must have seen here that from the data plugin methods, it can just get the schema itself, and it helped itself without even stopping here. But anyway, so you see, you can either now just create such methods manually, or you can use the stuff we give you. Actually, with this data plugin, you get very far, you know. So here I can now really say, which to-do items do I need to complete by tomorrow? and it gives me a list. And you see the way it does it, because I didn't actually give it any method now to filter out stuff due tomorrow. But here in this particular instance, I also just have very few items. So here I can also just feed it the whole list, and then it will filter out itself what it needs. So it's good enough to do this and just filter out the ones I have. If I had now many more to-do items, I would have to give it customized ways to actually query only to-do items by due date or whatever. And those methods I could just keep attaching here as further methods. This is the key logic, so just program this ToDo agent. Now if we follow this, you will see it's very benign. So I have to now register the ToDo agent. That's all I need to do. So here I just say expose my ToDo agents as agent definition in the file. So eventually I could put it in my portal configuration and just say add ToDo AI, which is the one agent currently. Then it puts me this one agent. If I have more than one agent, I can then also address them explicitly, but again, this doesn't make sense for now. So we will now create, based on this logic, we will create a number of videos. Maybe you see it already with this very simple example, but you see it's a completely new way of programming. It's Karpathy's tweet. The new hip programming language is called English. And I think only few people really understand all the depth of the meaning of this, because now this has been my programming language for the last few weeks, months, and I'm trying now to understand how can I create loops in English, or how can I create ifs in English, and it's not even so easy. So it's a bit like its own programming language. But all the more important it is that we can get to our familiar grounds every once in a while, and then we just get back to a piece of code. And essentially here we can just, again, relate back to the infrastructure layer we have. And in MeshWeaver, again, most of it is just this simple messaging layer that I can just say, give me a remote stream from this address and give me the collection with this type from this address, and then it streams me the content, and I can get a particular item from this content. So it's all this messaging layer here that we use from MeshWeaver, and that's also why I said that the agent itself, it's just the tip of the iceberg, because the big chunk below the iceberg is all the methods to say, give me the schema for this, give me the description for this, give me the data for this. And then the tip of the iceberg is this language layer that translates me this into the particular queries. So I hope you learned how to create the old world of business apps with a new world of AI agents. And with this, I would end the video here. See you in the next one. Please like and subscribe, and happy weaving.